It's not a connection, it's a target. I feel so angry. This is Salt's YouTube. I'm Lauren Windle and I'm joined by...
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron. What are we talking about?
Being manipulated, out and about, and what to look out for. I did read a book about 15 years ago called The Game by...
Why are you pretending that you don't talk about this all the time?
We've discussed it every now and then, maybe like once or twice in the last 3 years.
Really, can we get a disclaimer at the bottom? Aaron is not a pickup artist. He's very clear on that.
Absolutely not.
He's not, but you do have some good thoughts on it, and we have discussed it a fair bit.
In my excitement and fury about this book, I have forgotten to tell you exactly what it is. So let me just fill in some gaps. The Game is a book by Neil Strauss, published in the 90s. It's a bestseller. It's absolutely sold millions of copies, and it's basically provides a framework for men who want to manipulate women into having sex with them. And it gives them a step-by-step way of doing that. If you're not confident you can have sex with a woman, Neil Strauss says you can, you just have to do this, this and this. Obviously, this makes me furious to my very core, but it's part of a wider movement called the Pickup Artist Movement, PUA, Pickup Artists. And that is a huge community of people who share these horrific tips to secure sex from their targets. That's what we're going to be talking about. And I think it's important for us to understand it because there are millions of people around the world who engage with the pickup artist scene. So the chances are you've come across someone in a bar, in a restaurant, out and about. And I just want to make sure that everyone watching this knows what to look out for so they know when someone is trying to manipulate them into being more attracted to them than they genuinely are. That's it. Guards up, guys. Back to the show.
So The Game, when it came out, the reviews were all very positive from pretty much every single newspaper. This is like from the Times to the Mail to the Guardian to the Independent. They were all very positive reviews, hailing Neil Strauss. But had the same book been released this year, I think that I'm not even sure you could release that book. Like half the stuff in there is clearly illegal. There is a line I remember from The Game, which I don't even like saying out loud because it's quite disgusting, but it says, if you think you should, or you think you shouldn't, and you're contemplating it, then you definitely should. And that is pretty much the polar opposite to what...
Is that in terms of approaching a woman or in terms of taking it further and like maybe having sex with her or something?
In terms of taking it further. As in like, if it's in the section where is the woman interested in you? And if you're not sure, then...
Go for it.
But she is, yeah. Whereas that now would just not... I mean, it's not okay then, but the book was released and it got positive reviews and it made...
Yeah, it was a bestseller.
Whereas I think now that book would just be shot down before it even made it to the shelves, to be honest.
It's just so
and it's only 15 years.
That so many people have been encouraged to pursue sex without acknowledging the damage it can do to their subject. Do you know what I mean? And it's a subject. It's not a connection. It's a target.
Yeah, it's called The Game. It's literally a target. It pretty much dehumanizes women, to be honest. If I reread it now, I'd probably be pretty disgusted, as in...
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just more fascinated by the whole pickup artist movement, which I was unaware of. So
yeah.
The book introduced me to that, and I was more interested in, like, wow, this stuff is out there.
And there are movements. There's like seminars, there's like conventions, there's books, there's courses to train people in manipulating others. You know that book, The Game, which we
mentioned before,
comes up like horrific.
Surprisingly, there's a surprisingly large number of people who've read that book.
Yeah, like especially it's a proper bestseller. Yeah. Well, I actually, I'm going to say this. I don't know if it's going to make the edit. I started reading it. I felt really convicted by God to stop because as I was reading it, my thought was, if this is specifically designed for men who are socially inept to seduce, because it's all about sex, isn't it? It's not about securing a relationship. Women who are far out of their sort of thing. Imagine what I could do with it. I'm socially fine.
Gosh, that's terrifying.
I'm not like horrific at the sort of like dating and interactions. I was like, and I started thinking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use this to get people's attention. And I really felt God say to me, like, we're not trying to manipulate people into giving you attention. That's not the point of dating. That's so skewed. The point of dating is to spend time with amazing people and work out if there's like a real uplifting connection that will feed into his kingdom. And apparently the game wasn't the guidebook.
Weird that.
Weird. In the game, one of the guys learns magic and uses magic to sort of get women's attention or to siphon a woman off from a mixed group and stuff like that.
It's quite predatory, isn't it?
My hope is, because I was that stage of my life between, you know, that sort of dating stage, 15 to 25, say, I wasn't actively involved in a church. I'd like to think the church isn't like that, or at least there are far fewer men whose aim is casual sex or seduction and manipulation. But, you know, it's naive, I think, to think that what goes on in the world doesn't influence what goes on in the church. And I'm sure that there's places and people who could be more healthy in the church as well. If you're enjoying what you're watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Salt YouTube channel. So I think it's really good for women or men to know what they're kind of looking out for, and to know that actually it's a sign of either that he or she is trying to be very manipulative and get something from you for their own gain, whether that is whatever, or just that it's not a particularly emotionally healthy conversation. And to be aware that maybe because of the dynamic, they won't be seeing that person as clearly as they maybe would the next day, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people to understand these tactics. When someone might be manipulating you, so maybe not specifically like PUA, but just the whole sort of thing, they will sort of listen to what it is you want in a person and just do all they can to fit that for the length of time that they want you around.
Yeah.
Which is actually what a psychopath does.
I was going to say, yeah, that's all a sociopath.
Using a statement of empathy if they get turned down. So, for example, like, say they just, you know, were being really physical and the woman does decide to put in that, or the person, the subject, does decide to put in a boundary and they're like, you're making me feel really uncomfortable, I prefer if you stop touching me. They'll say things like, oh, sorry, I'm just a big hugger, or, oh, physical touch is my love language, or like, so sorry, I just got caught up in the moment, you know, and kind of make it like you've made it something it wasn't, because that's just how they are. They're not coming on to you. They're just swept up in the, why can't you live life with such joie de vivre?
The caught up in the moment one, that's a bit gaslighty. I don't like that.
All gaslighty.
Yeah, I mean, saying, if you're saying, sorry, that's just my love language, at least you're blaming yourself. But when you say I got caught up in the moment, it's almost like you're suggesting this is both of us.
Yeah,
like you've initiated this as much as I have. Okay. And I was just doing what I thought you wanted me to do.
Flirting with someone else to make you jealous.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. There's other things within the game where it says that if it doesn't work, it's not you, it's because the woman isn't smart enough to understand it, or their attention span isn't long enough for the game you're playing to work. It's really bad.
I'm about to burst. I feel so angry. I feel so absolutely fuming. Because actually, the thing is that this stuff probably would work. Well, you know, it has for people, plenty of people. It's got the reviews and whatever. But it works because it plays on people who are emotionally vulnerable. It plays on people who are insecure, who are looking for something but don't know how to put the right boundaries in place.
Yes.
Who think that by having physical intimacy, they may secure emotional intimacy and commitment. Who want someone to tell them all of those things, who want to be attractive and want to get the attention of that person.
Well, the guy...
To leverage that is just evil.
Yeah, well, the guy who wrote the game, he believes now that it didn't work. As in, it got guys who would be too scared to approach women to go out there and try it. But the actual tactics didn't work at all. Like, the women were either attracted to them for other reasons, or, like you said, they were... So
it was a placebo effect. They just had the confidence and therefore they got what they wanted. It wasn't some magic formula.
As in, it could have just been any other, like, confidence workshop.
Right.
And it would have had the same effect.
Oh, good. I hope that helps them sleep at night. Okay, all I'm hearing here is that the world needs Jesus. If you've enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.